Alrighty, so based off of this, or what Bean Man has sent me, as you can see in the bottom right hand corner, we are looking at a medium dark roast, which should be roast. See, you're not wrong, Crispy. And I did not let I did not let Schnoodle die. What happened was is that the bishop took her and like halved her hunger, so she was really hungry. So she did not die. She's still alive for the time being. But we are looking at a cocoa and caramel flavoring with a slightly floral hint. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Based off the smell of it, though, it reminds me of like our lighter roasts that we have done before. So I'm assuming that that's going to be a little bit of it. We'll see once we actually get the tasting of it. But this is another one of the Bean Man's monthly beans. It wasn't a cult. We were fighting the bishops. But our boy over at Fat Beans Coffee Lab, if you're interested in any of these beans that we've tried, you can go over to Fat Beans Coffee and purchase them for yourselves. Brian over at Fat Beans Coffee Lab does... how are we doing, Retro? But he does stream on Twitch. He streams these roastings of these beans live. It's a really cool process. He's a very knowledgeable individual. I cannot thank him enough for the support that he's given this channel through following, through subbing, through all that other stuff. But if you guys don't know about Brian, he's a really cool dude. He's very knowledgeable on coffee. And he does his live roasts on Twitch. It's a really cool thing. He goes to farmer markets during the summer. I think he's almost done doing farmer markets. He's a teacher by day. And he roasts coffee at night. He's a really cool dude. Can't thank him enough for all the support he's given us, just like we try to give him. Our beans today, they're a little bit lighter than they were the last week. So as you can tell, let's try not to spill our beans this time. Spill the Beans is a game I used to play all the time. They legit have a Twitch channel. Yes, they do. But they're a little bit lighter than they were last week, which is to be expected. Last week was a dark roast. This is a light roast. And so that's what we're looking at. When you do buy these beans, you do get these awesome, awesome little bags that the beans come in, the 12-ounce bags. They've got a nice seal up top to keep the freshness in. It smells a million times better than the Mud Pops. Everything smells better than the Mud. I'm sure that stuff that our followers were putting on the ground probably smells and tastes better than that Mud does. But we are looking at a, like I said, cocoa and caramel taste with a slight hint of floral. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to entail, but we're here for it. I've never gotten a bean that I didn't really like from Brian. This is a medium dark roast, and it says that it's a little bit more on the bitter side rather than the acidic side. So we'll see how that plays in too. I'm super excited to try this bean out. But this was the bean of the month. So the way it's going to work, because I had to use these beans up just because they've been not sitting around, but I usually try to not let them sit for more than a month. And I know that these were coming up on that. So I had to get these. Next week we're going to do the peach bourbon that Stop Platinum redeemed, and then we'll be on to your decaf. So 2 more weeks before yours, Dad. People got some other ones in before you got to it. But so without further ado, let's try this roast. Oh, okay. So this is a rather bitter cup of coffee, which is fine by me because I enjoy the bitterness. So it starts out with the hit of bitter. Okay, so I'm not entirely certain where the floral is in this, but no, it's not Troy. Troy has not done. And it's Anthony. Kind of like your ball 4, ball 8, ball 12 that you can't ever seem to remember. But so you start out with the bitterness, and as I assume, as we go through this cup of coffee, once our mind gets used to the bitterness, like it always seems to happen, we'll get to the hints of the chocolate in the caramel more. So you have that first hit of bitterness, and then once that fades away, you get into the caramel and then followed by the cocoa. It's quite a nice combination. It almost tastes like, like you're eating like a Rolo. I don't know if you guys have ever had Rolos. They used to be my favorite candy bar. But that's what this reminds me a lot of. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure what the floralness is to it, or how that affects the cup of coffee. Because I can kind of, if I had to say something with the bitterness, that's probably what I get is the floral taste, whatever that's supposed to be. It's definitely got some kind of like underlying body to it before you get in the cocoa and the caramel, which I would assume is that slightly floral hint. It's a delightful cup of coffee, especially for being a medium dark roast. That's probably going to score higher than those have scored before on this, just because of it's a nice variety of flavors that flow really well together. I'm probably going to end up giving this, I'll probably give it like an 8. It's not quite a 9. It's almost a 9. It's probably the best 8 I've had. But it's got a nice, like I said, variety of flavors. I know a lot of these that we've had here recently have had that cocoa and caramel kind of thing. It's why I'm kind of looking forward to next week when we get that bourbon, that peach bourbon. It's going to be a nice change. But from my understanding, usually the darker roast, that's more of what flavors you can keep through when your beans get to the second crack. And especially because most of the dark roasts that we've had on the channel, or the darker they get, the more you have just like a cocoa or a caramel or a chocolate or a dark chocolate kind of flavoring. Especially because dark chocolate's a little bit more bitter than normal chocolate, and then that probably goes to do with the acidity and or bitterness of the cup of coffee. But yeah, no, I'm gonna give this a high 8. This is probably the best 8 that I've had. It's almost... No, I'm not looking forward to the decaf. Just because it's not going to do anything for my caffeine addiction, unfortunately. But so, well, yeah, but the Swiss water isn't, it's just the type of cleaning that the beans go through. It's not like it's just the process that it's called. We'll see. I mean, I'm not looking forward to it. But it will be an interesting cup of coffee. I don't think I've ever purposefully drank decaf coffee. But, for the sake of experimentation and the fact that you did spend all that time to accumulate those 10,000 points without making me do squats, just like Schnoodle did, we will, in fact, try it. But Bean Man, I give you this coffee an 8, a high 8. It would be like an 8.9 if I could. I just don't quite see it as a 9. It's a very nice combination of flavors. They complement each other very well. And we'll go from there. Again, I can't thank Brian enough for all the support he's given the channel, that he continues to give to the channel every month. Hi, let's go. You know it, Riv. But we will go back to the BRB screen where you will get to see some old school Pooks, because I still have that on rotation. And I'll fill up my cup and we will get back to some family building exercises. We got people getting old. I might need to start getting some new followers, which means that you guys get a chance to name yourselves. Super excited about that. Reminder that you do need to be on PC for the add-on to work. But we'll go back to the BRB and we will... No, it's not called. We're not a cult. It's family. But we will be right back.